Hey y'all, the subject of judging other people has been really heavy on my heart this week, so I decided to talk about it today. It's really easy to find ourselves judging and condemning other people for some of the decisions they make or their actions, wrongdoings, mistakes, and a lot of things that people get judged for often would be just people's lifestyles in general. If we don't agree with someone's lifestyle, then it's really easy for us to kind of stand back and judge. Um, Divorce, addiction, homelessness, mental illness, just a bad attitude. I mean, there's all sorts of things out there that people get judged over. And, it's not our job to judge others, really. It's our job to pray for them. Instead, the biggest act of love that there is to pray for somebody. I'm going to lead into this in the book of John, chapter 8. And this is where Jesus goes down to the temple courts and is going to speak to the people. And the Pharisees bring in an adulterous lady in the middle of the crowd. And back then, adulterers got stoned, and the Pharisees were wanting Jesus to question this lady. So I'm going to read verses 7 through 11. But Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Again, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away one at a time, the older ones first, until only Jesus was left, with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Go now and leave your life of sin." So basically, the moral of that is all of us are sinners, and none of us have any right really to judge anybody else for what they do. And until you've lived a life of no sin, then you have no place to judge someone else for their sins. I think a lot of us are real quick to say, "I would never do that. I would never do this. I would never do that." Well, truthfully, you don't know what you will do until you're faced with certain situations, certain temptations, certain problems. You don't always know what kind of stuff people are dealing with when they do make bad decisions or do something that we might consider wrong. You have no idea what they've got going on. So many things can influence a person's attitude and their decision making. It could be the environment that they're raised in, the environment that they're currently in, any kind of emotional or physical trauma they may have gone through in their life. All of those things, mold people into who they are, and it affects a lot of the things that they do in life. Addiction is a really good example of that. People can be addicted to a lot of things. You can be addicted to alcohol, drugs, sex, shopping, food. There's a big list of addictions, and most people don't want to be addicts. They're using that as a way to self medicate and to really fill a void that only God can fill. And it's one of those things that unless you've gone through it, or unless you've gone through the things in life that kind of led them up to that, then you have no place but to judge them. It's your place to try to help them if you can. Basically, like I said, you need to try to understand what people are going through, sympathize with them. It's not our job to tear people down. God actually commands us to love one another. John 15:12 says, "My command is this: love each other as I have loved you." Luke 6:31 says, "Do to others as you would have them do to you." Um, that's a hard thing to do sometimes, because sometimes people do things to you that actually are harmful. A good example of that would be, it's before my mom went into assisted living. She had multiple caregivers after my stepdad died over the past few years, and these people stole a ton of jewelry from her, including family heirlooms. They stole most of my stepdad's tools. They stole Tiffany lamps, all sorts of stuff. And my initial reaction to that was anger, and you want these people to get what they deserve. Well, if they continue on that path, of doing those things, then yeah, they are going to get what they deserve, because God sees everything, and God's going to ultimately handle it. But the prayer that you would pray for them would be that if they continue that life, that they will eventually get to the place where they have no choice but to go to God, and that they will, change their ways and do better. But in general, the best thing you can do for anybody is to pray for them. God hears our prayers. He knows what's best for us. He knows what's best for everybody else, and ultimately, he wants to see people do well. Um, instead of judging, just step back, consider someone's situation, and pray for them. The thing is God often uses some of the most broken people to do some of the biggest things. So, last but not least, thank God for everything that you have, even the bad things, because there's a reason for everything. There's a lesson to be learned out of everything. I hope that helps somebody today, and I hope the rest of your night is beautiful.